just think it's cool how we have things like the Waves Lab and all these different types of labs where we can apply our actual physics concepts to real world situations. Also, I just want to mention the motion graph lab that we had. It was basically, long story short, we had to calculate the velocity and acceleration and stuff. And I'm just really thankful we have a class like calculus. That was an option that I took. AP calculus, you learn how to find the derivative of something. The derivative is equal to the slope, and slope is velocity, and as well as the double derivative being acceleration. And I'm just really thankful we have a class like that to intertwine with physics and help make the class overall easier. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity. Now I want to jump into my second to last quote. Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. Now what does that mean for me? Ever since I was little, I've always had a struggle with English. English class has always been my struggle. I was put into ELD in 6th and 7th grade. Though I did manage to get out, it's always been something that haunted me all through high school, that still does today. But I think it's really awesome how we have a class like AP Lit that's hosted by Ms. Poland that allows us to really better ourselves in English, not so much just learning a bunch of different words, but we continue to do practice and practice for timed writes, which helped with my upcoming project, or my Project Eddie, which stands for Envision, Discover, Design, Invent, and Execute. Now, just a little bit of background on Eddie. Our main inspiration was Bianca's grandfather, who was in a wheelchair, but his wife was in the hospital, so he wanted to come up with a way to be able to help out around the house. I think it's really cool how we had a class like medical ethics to be able to teach us the right terms to use and to be politically correct at times, like using words like differently abled rather than just assuming what to call them or ask them and just stereotyping them, and to learn that we're not supposed to assume that a person needs help rather than actually ask them if they need help before just going up to them. It really helped with this whole project in terms of interviewing Bianca's grandfather, and I think it's really cool how we were taught the cultural sensitivity of people who are differently abled, and it's going to help in the future if I ever run into someone who could be in a wheelchair or crutches and needs help, and I actually ask them rather than just come up and help them. So to go a little bit more on one of the elements for Project Eddie was the essay. Now, because I wasn't there, my group thought that they should just throw the hardest essay towards me, which was the physics essay. But I didn't take that as a burden. I took that as something that I should try and grow in. So the physics essay was pretty hard to do, but I did create a bunch of rough drafts that finally led to my final draft, which I'm very proud of. And without the elements and stuff that I got from English class, I feel I wouldn't have been able to execute and get the good grade that I did on the physics portion of the essay, it was probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest essays to write out of the 4 that we had to do. Now, moving on to a little bit about me, just what I want to do after high school. Now, I plan on going to Diablo Valley College and then hopefully doing a 2-year transfer to either Georgia Tech or UC Berkeley, and then hopefully getting my PhD in computer science or whatever the future tends to hold for me. Now to revisit my thesis. As I approach the end of my 4 years at Dozier Libby, the anxious and shy boy I once was has blossomed into a strong-minded, confident man that has now the work-ready skills to take on the world in anything it has.